Shalom. Kol Holo Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Raha Hakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. My name is Barad Debal, coming to you from the GMS campus, Indianapolis. And to all those listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom, especially to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Came across this video, as you see, by Abby Martin, went to Israel, and she says it's worse than you think. Had opportunity. I actually watched this video twice. It was actually pretty insightful video of what she's expressed about the people who claim to be the children of the Most High. So you can actually pull this video up and take a look at it. I've also just now subscribed to, both of the channels, Double Down News and Empire Files. But this definitely was an insightful video. And as a result, it brought forth a few thoughts. And so we're just going to go right into the scriptures and some other things that may come to mind. Pretty much the first thing that came to mind as I'm looking at her is this, their own tongue. Okay, so this is the book of Psalms 64, verse 8. It says, "So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away." So this is an example of their own tongue, because she was a journalist, and she, said when she went out there, they asked her, if she was Arab, and she said, "No, I'm American." So, from the looks, she might be an Edomite. She could be an Israelite, but because it's not about the flesh, it's more of the spirit. But to the point, she was allowed in and loud with the cameras full force on the people and asking questions about the treatment and what should continue on with the people in Palestine. And so, again, it's not about, those people per se in Palestine, because, of course, the scriptures talk about what nation, that has not had a hand in, Israel's fall, roughly paraphrasing. All nations on the earth, has had some form of fashion affected, in some form of faction affected, and put some type of hell on the children of the Most High, which is you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. However, the main focal point in this lesson is the mindset. So you get a chance to watch the video. The mindset of Israel, the ones in which also Americans, tax dollars for several years upon years, have funded and sent over, billions of dollars, to the state as an ally. And so we always bring out the other scripture to come to mind, as the leaders are, so are the officers. Okay. And what manner of people? Let me get that. One moment. We like to bring this out a lot because, let me go Apocrypha. Let me see. Salakia. Give me a moment. Okay, this is the book of Ecclesiastes, or Sirach chapter 10, verse 2. It says, "As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. So Israel, of course, many of the top elite banking families, those who run social media, the music, entertainment, pretty much run the whole earth, are the Edomites. But the top elites of the Edomites are the Amalekites, as the Bible speaks of. Well, the one in which the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, will have war with from generation into generation. And you could actually see why. Because they actually have a perpetual hatred for the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And you can look throughout history and see the acts of unaliving, lynchings, and slavery. What happened also to the Native American tribes, Native Americans, which are the Gadite tribes, and many of the other tribes that were here in the Americas when they came over, and how they were unalived by the masses. All right. And this was, of course, a lot of these things were headed by, the Amalekites. Okay. And the history is coming out more and more and how much they had their hands. Like, for example, they funded, the bank families funded the ships that were bringing over the so-called blacks into the Americas. All right. So the slave ships. So it says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So the manner of man, you see, she was asking young children, girls, some elderly. She was speaking to, those middle aged. So she went through, she said in 2016, a whole list. I mean, just, and that was the mindset. The mindset was to continue to pretty much bring woe and further destruction, to lay that place to the ground. And so as a result, this is, the same sentiment that they would have for any other people. But then most importantly, the children of Israel. So there will never be a time in which these elites will switch their mind and give you something outside of, actually, let me show you this. This will explain it better. This is the book of Psalms 55, verse 21. It says, the words of his mouth are smoother than butter, but war is in his heart. Okay, so they outwardly they set the propaganda. They tell you that they'll use the Bible, as you've seen. It is spoken in there how they was actually calling those people over there, the Palestinians, Amalekites, which they are the actual Amalekites, and how they speak of peace, but at the same time they actually are continuously bombing and shooting and pillaging. You actually will see that even in this is just an example how they don't have a care for the young, the old, the children, as the Bible also spoke of, and you could see like in like the Bible makes a statement, in Deuteronomy, how he would send a man, send them on you, the one that would not show favor to the old or the young. And of course, that this is what other nations who was also involved, like when we besieged in Babylon. But then we make the connection as that which is then is now. So the people in Esau even was back then. He was even back then when we read, I believe it's Second Esdras, might be chapter 4. It's in one of the earlier chapters where Esau was right there. Obadiah, also speaks of it as well. let's go to it since I'm thinking of it. This is Obadiah, and I'm going to jump right to verse 10, and it says, well, actually, let's read the first verse just so we can see who it is. It says, the vision of Obadiah, thus said the Lord power concerning Edom. All right, so just wanted to get that point, and then let's jump down to verse verse 8. It says, shall I not in that day, saith the Lord. Actually, there's something I wanted to get. This right here, verse 5, Salakia. It says, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how it says, how art thou cut off? It says, would they not have stolen till they had enough? It says, if grape gatherers came to thee, and it says, would they not have leave some grapes? It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are the hidden things sought up? So Esau, there's a scripture in Job, that speaks about his tokens, right? And then how would you find out about, the tokens of Esau, speaking to the prophets are telling you, who this man is, which is the wicked that the Bible speaks of. And so we're showing that even with, with the agenda that's actually being pushed in Iran, eventually they're going to push and continuously push like how they did these Palestinians until they have everyone under their total control. And when they actually do that, look how much, I did a video that says, do you think that at that point they will consider being and doing righteously, to the people? Okay. So I want to read that. How are things searched up? So let's jump down to verse 10. It says, for the violence against thy brother Jacob, Esau, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Now, the Palestinians, like I said, they're not, now the Israelites are scattered throughout. And so they're more likely, more than likely is Israelites in that land. But this isn't about them, okay? This is about the children of Israel, and for all the things that are actually coming upon Esau, Edom, it's just showing that he has no mercy and will not show mercy upon our people. Like I said, for the violence of thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. So these same things have happened, and they continue to happen to us so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's why even now, we're coming into a time, that's going to be like no other. And he said, even the time of Jacob's trouble. Who do you think is going to spearhead? Who do you think is spearheading all these things that's going to happen? These top elite banking families. All right. Because they're trying to push everyone and get everyone to this new world currency. All right. And where everyone will be receive a karagma, an etching in their right hand or in their forehead, where they may not be able to buy or sell save he that have that etching. All right. And then they'll have total and utter control over the whole earth. However, the Lord is not going to allow them to continue to fully complete their enterprise. All right. He's going to then rain down upon them and reset, the earth in righteousness. But this is book Obadiah, verse 15. It says, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. So that's why they're getting it too. All right. Because they're heathens. They're according to the other, they're not Israelites. So the Lord is using, the Israelis to do this. See, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So that's the Lord using his sword, as it tells us also in Psalms. Deliver me from the hand of the wicked, which is thy sword. So the Lord is using them. He is a minister for destruction. Right. So the Lord is using him to go upon these people. He actually also used them as the whipping stick of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. But eventually the Lord is going to take him down. All right. But it says, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. So the things that they're doing to Palestinians, whatever they did, the things that they've done, to the children of Israel, things they've done in their past life, they're actually receiving a judgment that's coming from Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. He's orchestrating this. Eventually, there's many judgments that's happening. We go through scriptures that talk about judgment and who it comes from, where Deuteronomy's one come into mind when he says, I am the Lord. Let me just get it. I believe it's Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39. He says, see that now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me, no other power with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. He says, I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. So the Lord's dealing with them people over there. He's bringing forth judgment over there. He's going to eventually bring the ultimate judgment when he brings all the nations to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, in that region that they're actually all gathering up as we speak around the Mediterranean. So you see that all these nations are posturing up as well. So, I'll make this more like maybe a spiritual thought, because I know seem a little all over the place, but just some thoughts that are coming to mind just based off of what she shared. This is James chapter 2 verse 13. It says, for he shall have judgment without mercy, that have shewn no mercy, and mercy rejoices against judgment. So if you show no mercy when time comes for your judgment, mercy is not going to be shown. This is Obadiah. Oh, I got that one already. We'll end with that one. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 1. All right. And so this was actually considering the inhabitants of that was over there prior, prior. But as you and when I say over there, those that are in Israel. OK, so prior to even the Israelites going into the land, I believe it was Canaanites who actually were and I can look that up later on just to get, and I'll correct it if I'm wrong. But that were in the land and they were inhabiting of the land. And about certain on that. But they were inhabiting the land and they were doing a lot of wicked acts. And of course, the Lord was giving commandments and statutes and judgments of how we were to act, so that when we came amongst people within the land, that we would have our own laws and not be persuaded by the lewd acts of these other nations. And so, however, we went into the land, finally got the land, and we went right into the lewd acts. And that was what got us spewed up out of the land, got us kicked out and scattered. However, now you have heathens occupying the land, which the scriptures speak of, and they're doing the same exact acts. Matter of fact, this particular landmass where they say they're the chosen people. As the boy had mentioned in this video, the scriptures talk about a man sleeping with men, that it was an abomination unto him, right? Or women with women. And so overseas, they have one of the largest ubiquitous festivals. Hundreds upon hundreds, if not millions, of people that go over there and interact with all of these things. So how much more do you think the Lord, when Yahweh Bashim Yahushai comes, that he's going to kick them out of that land? It says, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 1, it says, for thine incorruptible spirit is in all things. He says, therefore, chastenest thou them little by little, that offend, and warnest them by putting them in remembrance wherein they have offended. It says that leaving their wickedness, that they may believe on the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So this is, dealing with the Israelites, okay? Because the only ones that could be brought back to remembrance to believe on the Lord would be you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. You only have he's known upon all the people of the land, on the earth. Therefore, we're getting punished for our iniquities. So how much more these other nations? He says, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers, but though both those old inhabitants of thy holy land. Okay, he says, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcraft, wicked sacrifices, and this is what's coming out about these people. All right, that they're actually are doing in the land. Keep bringing up the Epstein, those that comes up, and and I haven't even gone into it, but there was those who I've seen videos of those who've read passages, of many things that actually odious and works, right? So this is the mindset of the people, of these people. It says, and also those merciless, right? What you just read, without mercy, who have shown no mercy, merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh. Now we've read those things again, going back to Epstein, and the feast of blood. It says, with their priest out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. So when you even thinking of just these people that's over there, we'll end it there. Let's get this last. I think I said one's going to end with that scripture, and I think I was quoting it. Galatians. Hold on. Yep, I read that one. Galatians. So it says, Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, it says, be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So whatever everyone's going to get judged based off of the fruit of your doings, your actions. Are you serving Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, or you serving your own flesh and other men? Right? Are we doing the work, praying, fasting, to the best of our ability? Because these are the people in which the Lord said in Revelations 12, verse 12, that woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil will come down to you having great wrath, for he knoweth that he have but a short time. So in his time, and roughly paraphrasing, but in his time, he's going to come down with great wrath. And the Palestine is just a small inkling of how destructive these people can be. And it says, "For he that soweth to the flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption," and that's what they're actually going to be, and everybody that sides with them, and their own main other ally that they have is America. So America, again, being ran by these people, is doing the bidding for these people, going to also receive the judgment that they're going to receive for joining onto this people. So it says, the scripture says, hand join the hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished. So but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And that's what, of course, dealing with the men teaching the Bible in spirit and truth in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. It says, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. And so, of course, if we continue on in this truth, understanding that all these things have to come to pass, that have to happen in order for first the Lord's word to be true, and then two, for salvation unto the elect of the children of Israel. So I hope that this lesson was edifying, that you got something out of it from the elect body of true believers. I like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. Until next time, all those listening and learning to you, I say Shalom.